How's it going, everyone? This is the George here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is the second film in James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy film series, as well as the third film in Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This came out in 2017, and once again starred Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillan, Bradley Cooper, Michael Rooker, and you also have Kurt Russell coming in as Ego, Star-Lord's father, who at first seems like this kind person who's looking for a son, but then something much more sinister. He has a much more sinister plot about him. And while Peter Quill, Star Lord, is looking to meet his father, you also have Yondu looking to find Peter Quill, members of Yondu's crew turning on Yondu, the Sovereign race looking to get revenge on the Guardians because at the beginning of the film, Rocket took their batteries. You have Nebula looking to get revenge on Gamora. A lot more is happening in this film, and this is a film that I kind of notice when it comes to people whether it's on Letterboxd or YouTube on their Marvel Cinematic Universe rankings, it'll either be high or low on their list, and it's kind of a surprise because to me this feels like a very good MCU film that's not as good as the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, but is better than many of the other MCU films that we've gotten before and after this film came out. And I'll admit, there's a lot going on in this film. There might have been some things I would have personally cut out or minimized. For example, the stuff with the sovereign race, these gold people that the Guardians at first help out at the beginning of the film, but then Rocket takes their batteries and they want revenge. I feel like at a certain point they should have just stopped appearing, but then they appear during the final fight with Ego, and it just feels like a distraction, just an unnecessary add-on. And to me, it's like after they approach Yondu and his crew to apprehend the Guardians of the Galaxy, they should have stopped appearing until the post-credit scene when you see that they're, you know, getting Adam Warlock ready, and we know Adam Warlock's going to be in the next Guardians of the Galaxy film. But I feel like that should have been it for them. They didn't need to appear in the third act. They didn't need to appear in that final confrontation with Ego. I think it's just like unnecessary add-ons. The stuff with like Yondu's whose crew turning on him. While I enjoy that, and it does give for great character moments with Rocket Raccoon and Yondu, Yondu definitely shines in this film. Michael Rooker does a lot better in this role. And I liked him as Yondu in the first film, but he stands out a lot more in this film. It's like while I did enjoy some of the things that were going on with that, with Rocket and Yondu escaping, being, it just feels like that kind of sometimes went on a bit longer than it should have. Like obviously the best thing about this film is the Peter Quill and Ego getting to know each other. Peter Quill not knowing how to feel, then they're bonding, and then Peter Quill discovering that Ego is the reason why his mom died. And also Peter Quill like discovering that Yondu, while he wasn't a perfect father, he Yondu still cared for Peter Quill like Peter was his own son. Despite all those times Yondu threatened to like feed Quill to his crew. But this film is a lot darker than I realized the first time I watched it. Like when you realize just like how many kids Ego had and then killed. Like that scene when Nebula and Gamora discover the skeletons, and it's just it's very shocking because a lot of people always think James Gunn is all about comedy. And yeah, this is a funny movie. I do enjoy the humor a lot in this film. The humor I think has aged pretty well for the most part compared to other Marvel films with humor. But Gunn knows how to be serious, particularly the moment when Peter Quill discovers that Ego is the reason why his mom died. And also Yandu's death. That is a very emotional death scene. I didn't expect to like tear up when that death scene happened the first time I saw it. Chris Pratt as Star Lord once again is great. The cast is great. There are some members of the Guardians of the Galaxy that felt like took a step back or like went to the back seat. Like they were still great, but like obviously they weren't as focused as they were in the previous film. For example, Drax. Drax plays a much more comedic role in this film, and he is funny. Dave Bautista says some really funny stuff, and I like the new dynamic between Drax and Mantis, played by Palm. I'm gonna mispronounce her name, but the her last name, but the actress that plays Mantis, she's very good. I also enjoy the addition of Mantis, but I also like how like Mantis and Drax bond and and become friends. I really like that dynamic. Gamora, I like Zoe Saldana as Gamora. It feels like she kind of took a bit of a step back in this film, but she was still great. Karen Gillan as Nebula, I like that they did more with her in this film than they did in the previous film. There are some moments of the film where I felt like Karen Gillan was overacting a bit. Like, I do like the scene where, like, Nebula furiously opens up to Gamora. Like, I like that, but there's, like, a few moments where it's like she's being a bit too dark and edgy, and it just doesn't come out the way it should. But I still like her a lot as Nebula. I think like she did a lot better this time than the previous film. Ego as a villain, Kurt Russell is great as the villain Ego. Uh, Besides Yondu and Nebula having more to do in this film than the previous film, the only other thing that is a positive over the first film is I think Ego is a better villain than Ronan. I have nothing against Roman, but I just feel like you got you understood more of Ego's background, what Ego's about, his powers, and his motivations. I feel like that was just presented better. But yeah, those are like the few upgrades over the previous film. I still love James Gunn's song choices. I think the special effects are still great. It's still a very colorful, fun space adventure. It just feels like this is a movie that, while the character moments, particularly with Star Lord, Yondu, Nebula, and Rocket, were great, there's a lot also going on at the same time. And it's not like everything that's going on is bad. It's not like other films where like so much is happening and you don't know what's going on, or like something's being set up. Like this isn't like Avengers Age of Ultron or Iron Man 2 where it feels like a setup film. Like yeah, there are like hints of what's to come with Infinity War, like the mentions of Thanos, Nebula and Gamora finally being on the same side after being at odds with each other. But and But yeah, like the stuff with the sovereign race, I just would have cut out because I just felt like that was unnecessary. They could have minimized some of the stuff with Yondu's crew. Although I love that scene where Yondu's like killing like his former crew members that betrayed him. Him the song "Come a Little Bit Closer." I love that song choice. Like I love Gunn's song choices in this film. But even though, and I've said this before on previous streams, whether it's been on my channel or other people's channels, I feel like this is, as of right now, the weakest of James Gunn's like Marvel DC work. But yet, even though it's the weakest of his Marvel DC work, I still think it's a very good movie. Because again, those character moments really hit, those serious, heartfelt moments, from Peter Quill discovering the reason why his mom died. There's one heartfelt moment with Drax I do love, when like Drax is like opening up to Mantis about like his loss. The stuff with Nebula, Yondu's death, and like his funeral, and the respect that he finally gets like once he dies, like all that is handled very well, and it's a reminder that James Gunn is not just about the humor. Like I said, I love the humor in this film. I still enjoy it a lot, but he also has some dark emotional moments in his film, and I'm hearing a lot about that with the next Guardians film, which I plan to see on Saturday. So we'll see like what how this whole trilogy ends. But yeah, overall, I'm gonna give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 a B plus. I still enjoy this film a lot. It's definitely better than a lot of the Marvel films that have come out before and after it, especially after. But yeah, it's not as good as the first film. But I understand why some people love this film just as much, and there are some people that love it even more than the first film. And I understand why, because it does still have great character moments, even though a couple characters, while they're still great, they don't have as much focus on as they did in the previous film. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And what did you think of this film? Did you love it? Did you hate it? And do you prefer this over Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1? Let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that loves the Guardians of the Galaxy films. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.